Let's get started here. We'll get started with like more of an official start here to welcome everybody out to episode 36 of Utah in the Weeds. I'm here with my co-host Tim. How you doing, Tim?
I'm doing great, Chris. Really excited to get these guys on the podcast. But how was Thanksgiving?
Oh my gosh, too much food, too much relaxation, and too much family time, right? I guess that's a good Thanksgiving, I guess, for some people. It was fun. It was a lot of fun, though. Got to visit a couple family members and eat good food. How about yourself?
Yeah, same here.
Same.
You know, kind of stayed home around town, didn't go out of town. There's just, I don't know whether it's too much controversy or too much COVID to go out of town and spend it with 30 more people. So yeah, it was fun. Good, relaxing time.
Awesome. We have Loni and Paul joining us today.
Hey.
They are with an app, BuddyJane.com. You guys got to check this app out. Anybody listening, we're going to find out about it, find out all the cool features of this app, because I've only kind of skimmed the surface, I think, with it. But how the both of you doing?
Doing lovely, man. How are you guys?
Good,
awesome.
Good. Now, you guys are in California, actually, right?
That's right.
Southern California, where you guys got recreational cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you guys live in a county with rec, or is that a county by county situation down there? What?
County by county. Well, yeah. As far as like where they'll allow legal dispensaries and whatnot.
Yeah.
They don't where I'm at. I'm in San Bernardino County, which is I'm in the Joshua Tree area. And unfortunately they don't. So the nearest
governed by some assholes.
Yeah. It's very conservative in this town, actually, which is actually surprising because a lot of people come out here to do psychedelics and, see aliens and shit like that. So you can cuss on this?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, sure.
Too late now.
Too late now, Paul.
They could have caught an edit right there. Anyway. Yeah. So unfortunately they don't. And so the nearest dispensaries out this way are Desert Hot Springs, and then Palm Springs is a pretty active market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we haven't had a lot of people from outside of Utah. I think we had a physician in Florida talk about the Florida program and some of the things she was doing. But I'm really interested to talk to you guys because this is something that I think Utahns, and we were talking a little bit about this before we started recording, that Utahns could use. So why don't one of you explain kind of what the app is, this BuddyJane app?
Yeah, look, it's a social app that was developed by a couple grown stoners who looked at the landscape of tech and cannabis, and there was nothing that allowed me to interact and connect with other like-minded people. So if you think of BuddyJane, it's like a IG that got pregnant by Weedmaps, and I had a party with a bunch of people on it.
So is it? It's both. Like when you pull up to your site, mm-hmm. the first thing you're asked is, you're either a medical cannabis patient or over 21? Do you focus on one or the other, or is it kind of everybody?
Everybody.
Yeah, it's everybody, and it's also global. So what we're starting to see, and we're in beta right now. We're going to do an official launch in January. But what we're starting to see already is people from Europe, UK, Australia, someone in Asia just joined, South America. So you're starting to see this global cannabis community come to BuddyJane to connect with one another. And it's really cool.
Yeah, because right now, there seems to be like on Instagram and on Facebook, there's groups of cannabis users.
Right.
But they're so, like when you talk about a bigger picture, it's all disconnected. But does this connect everybody?
It does. And it also helps with some of the headache that Facebook and IG have thrown at the cannabis community, right? There's no law that mandates Facebook and IG flag and delete cannabis content, right? But they do anyways. They made a business decision. It was likely from, some personal beliefs. And what they do is they flag cannabis related content and they'll just delete users and kick them off the site. And I mean, it happened to Cheech and Chong. They got their account flagged and suspended, I think, for 3 weeks. Tommy put out a hilarious video about it where they said, you're being suspended for the content that related to drugs and guns, right? Nothing to do with guns. And then they said also for unoriginal content.
Or unauthentic.
And it's unauthentic. And it's like
content.
Tommy, Chong, and Cheech, unauthentic. Are you crazy? So that was one of the reasons why we started BuddyJane, among others, right? Was this censorship that's going on with mainstream social media, where they're really trying to silence the community, and there's probably political and personal views behind that. But we wanted to create something for our community so that we could have a voice that won't get muted.
It's really interesting you bring this up, because I don't think a lot of people understand the difficulty of like running a business when it comes to cannabis, or to even trying to get out education or promotion specifically. And this is across the board on Instagram, Facebook, Google. You cannot, for the listeners, I cannot post on Facebook and boost a post, which means increase its visibility as a business or as a clinic. If I use the term cannabis, marijuana, if I think they go 2 links in, if I have a link on my post that goes to a website and that website says anything about cannabis, nope, you can't do that. I've had my advertising account shut down for 6 months.
Yeah.
Because of that on Facebook. You can't do any pay-per-click ads on Google.
Mm-hmm.
It all has to be organic. And even then you have to be really careful with your content.
Yeah. SEO is its own beast, just because of all the, Google, YouTube, Twitter, you name it, they're all very regulated when it comes to cannabis.
Yeah, these anti-cannabis policies, they prevent our businesses from being able to do business the way the rest of the world manages their businesses, right? It's like you can post your business on social media, but you can't really talk about your business, because if you do,
right,
we're going to say, fuck you, you're deleted, right? And we don't care if you have 50,000 followers or not. We're just against it.
You're done.
You're done. You're donezo.
But it seems like that's not I don't know. I mean, there's a little bit of a conspiracy theorist in me that thinks, gosh, these decisions are being made not because of the laws, but because of these are business decisions and people with certain, I don't know, it seems like they want to make their own money, or they want to do it their own way. They want you to read their posts instead of yours. This brings me back to my next question, really, which is, are you building this app, or is this app pretty much, no holds barred, say what you want to say, more of a town square type, or are you going to monitor it all?
Well, to a degree, because we do want to represent the counterculture that cannabis, represents. But then we don't allow certain things. We're not an OnlyFans, for instance. That's off one. We're not allowing any pornography, any overtly sexual content. Sexy, there's a fine line there, which we've had some real discussions about, because of some of the beta users have already kind of tested it out. We've had some roundtables over this stuff, but we kind of come to the conclusion of, we want to welcome expression, for one, free expression. Cannabis is the backbone of it, but it doesn't have to be 100% cannabis posts. We're not making any rules like that. And again, we don't allow any illegal activity. So even for a cannabis business, if they're unverified but set up a personal account, come on and start posting products for sale, then we're going to have to reach out to them and let them know that they need to contact us for a verified business account before we can allow any sort of sales activity.
Right. What we're trying to do is create a safe environment.
100%. And protect and support the folks that do put in all the work and the money and the time and energy it takes to have a legit cannabis business, So we stay diligent on all that, just because we want to do it right and keep a cool, community and vibe.
How many people do you have there at BuddyJane? You must have quite a bit of employees if you're monitoring that much.
Yeah, no, we're a small startup.
And I guess you guys barely started too, so you probably don't have a ton of users, I guess, yet.
Yeah, no, we have a few thousand users. It's growing a lot faster than we anticipated, which is fine. And there's a lot of things. So we have we've actually built up a community. So we have folks that have joined that have become brand ambassadors for us, and they're helping us monitor. The community helps kind of, self-police itself. We had somebody come on trying to sell coke and guns, and it was like, come on, asshole. Go back to Facebook or IG and do that shit there. Don't do that.
Right.
Don't do that here. Right. We don't have room for that. So we'll remove those type of, as Pitt calls them, cockroaches, because the vibe is really good. This is, as you guys are aware, with the cannabis community, there's a lot of patients that, find relief from cannabis. There's a culture, there's a business. It's just a good, loving, enlightened community. And the vibe has been really beautiful, to be honest. And we're going to do everything we can to kind of protect that vibe and keep that going as long as we can. And if that means kicking some cockroaches off, then that's what we do.
How did the both of you get connected with BuddyJane? Do either of you have anything to do with the design or the layout, or are you just kind of on the back end? Where are you?
Lonnie and I, we're every decision that's made on this app has been a decision by us. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I mean, we have a team that we go to for support and all that, but like every click, every module, every piece of the app is completely our control. Every wireframe we've done, we have coders that do the actual code. We direct every piece of it.
How did you guys get involved in this? What were you doing before?
So before this, I was in the software world, working for a company called A-Connects. I was doing construction and engineering, project information management software, where we managed complex projects. Like I was involved with the high-speed rail and Tesla Gigafactory. And that company ended up getting acquired by Oracle back in 2017. So that was at the point where I was like, hey, Pick, we should start looking at teaming up again. We had done some past projects together and had some success. And we started looking at the cannabis landscape and said, man, there's a void here. And I think there's an opportunity. So we just jumped right in, started development, and here we are now.
That's really cool. How, as a user, if I want to dive in, I download the app, what am I going to find when I log in and I post, or like, what's my experience going to be like?
The core of it is the social media. So the beauty of it is that there's a lot of familiarity. We wanted to make this at the core of it like an all-in-one spot for all things cannabis. And I know that's very vague to say, but the core of it is the social connection piece. So you log in, you land on a social feed. There's space for advertising businesses across the top. We call highly recommended. You can jump around the app, look at the map features. There's a bud finder where you can find weed near you, sort of like a Weedmaps component. And then also there's a buddy finder, which allows you to find all the other active folks that's on the app. So you can reach out to folks from all over the world, reach out to folks that's near you that already have an account that might be on when you're on, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But again, the main point of it was to, one, make it a social piece to connect all things cannabis, from businesses to activists to educators to just people that like to smoke. And that's the main core of it, but also to keep it all in one, because we were noticing that, like with Weedmaps, it's a
one-off. You go on the Weedmaps, you log in, you find a dispensary, and you log out, and then
yeah, that's it. I mean, and you go on Leafly and you find a review. You want to know what this is like. You go to Leafly, you find a review. That's it.
Reason to visit these
and then
apps, right?
And then you're going to IG or Facebook and you're posting your experience, right? And then so we wanted to consolidate all of that. So you didn't have to have 4 apps to do all that. You could just open up BuddyJane and you could stay within that app and just bounce around. And then something else that we just came out with is called Budcast. That's where you can do live streaming. And what's exciting about that is we're going to look to monetize that. So for people, like example, you guys, you have a podcast, you're going to be able to upload your podcast to the Budcast. And we can do subscription based, right? Where you could do exclusive showings, or if you're going to do an event, you can monetize those events. If you like somebody, you can donate money to their cause. So there's a lot of exciting stuff we're doing within the app on top of what's already there. So our roadmap is pretty aggressive, creative. We're working with a cryptocurrency company to look at putting together some reward points, so you can earn these crypto points, and then you can turn those in for discounts at participating dispensaries. Right. So
very cool.
Yeah. We're looking to do some cool stuff.
Essentially like a micro rewards system, right?
Exactly.
For different, essentially behavior on the app and things like that.
Yeah. We're actually negotiating a deal. We haven't signed a contract yet, but what we're negotiating is that this company is going to donate millions of tokens. So we can hand those out for free to people as they come on to the app. And then, it's a self-sustaining ecosystem, right? It's like we come in here, we support each other mentally, we're encouraging to one another as a community, but then we're bringing businesses on where they can market to us, and then we can go and support those businesses. And then it's just, we're creating this ecosystem at this point, and we don't have to rely on mainstream social media anymore and all these, anti-cannabis policies that have been polluting our industry for far too long.
Now, what about listeners? I know a lot of listeners involved in the cannabis community kind of want to keep a low profile, right? Maybe not use their real name, stuff like that. I mean, can they sneak on here and be part of it without giving a ton of information, or what? Yeah. Keep your anonymity. We're actually looking at creating a filter for people just like that who kind of, want to. A lot of I was working, at a company that I guarantee was not aware that I was smoking weed and probably wouldn't be happy with it. Right. And there's a lot of other people like that. So we don't require you to put in your real name, right? Because you're not purchasing any product, any flower, any CBD, THC through us. What we are is more of a social advertising app, right? We're going to lead you to the places where you can do that. So we don't have to collect your real ID. Yeah.
So a person could get on and be somewhat anonymous, basically free. You basically can get on, you can relax, you can be who you really are when you're relaxing. You can find people who do the same things, who enjoy the same strains or in your area that you have common interests with and then the business part is verified.
That's right.
You can trust the content that's being delivered to you on the business side and the education, where the dispensaries are. But as far as you go, I can see this being a real freeing app for adults.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I can see, because look, we've all got an account, right? I got an IG account. I post my family pictures. We in my house, we talk a lot about the exposure. I mean, I grew up in Utah. I grew up in this religious culture. Mm-hmm. Chris and I have this in common, this religious culture background. We understand this culture. And my wife is a professional in the Valley.
Yeah.
And she's often telling me, don't you dare mention my name on the podcast.
Right. Yeah.
And I can see this being a freeing thing for adults. Just be who you are.
Yeah, Tim, we accept alter egos on BuddyJane.
Perfect.
Aliases.
Yeah.
My alter ego is on Facebook and Instagram. My real true self might be on BuddyJane.
You can be yourself here. Yeah. That's what it is. It is a bit of freedom that we haven't been able to have, right? It's you're not being judged, right? We don't have the problem with trolls that you see on mainstream social media. Again, I think it has to do with once you've tasted the flower of life, you appreciate life, and where our receptors are just different, right? We're wired different at that point. And so the community's embracing, and it does allow you to be yourself and feel accepted and not worry about being judged. It's really cool.
You haven't mentioned that the online shop that's going to be on there, though, because you said nothing, that people aren't going to be selling stuff. I noticed on the website here, it says that you can create a little online store, or is that's for like more like pipes and stuff like that?
Yeah,
I guess.
Ancillary products, small brands. There's like, if you go to it's like similar to like an Etsy is what right? Right now it's very basic, very beta right now. It's sort of like Craigslist right now, where you can post something for sale, nothing plant touching, of course. And then if somebody's interested, they contact you and you guys work out the details amongst yourselves. Nothing to do with BuddyJane at that point. So
Yeah.
but
So
we're
if
gonna
you
build
like
it out
have
to
an
be a
old,
bit
yeah.
more like an Etsy. So if you go to Etsy and search cannabis, you'll see like thousands of cannabis related brands and cannabis related goods that people are, DIYing and all that. So that's the idea there with that personal shop.
And we'll build that out. We actually had to push that feature down the road a bit, so it's not built out the way it will be in 6 months to a year.
No, but the projects like this, I mean, you can't wait for everything to be built out perfectly from day one, right? You've got to start.
Right.
You got to start somewhere. You got to start getting users.
Yeah,
listening to feedback,
that's
changing
Exactly.
things, tweaking things, watching what happens.
Yeah.
What is the biggest surprise you've had so far, or one of the bigger surprises? Like, say you designed it in a certain way, but you found out, oh wow, this is totally not what we expected.
Well, funny story. I mean, we've gone through so many different iterations of this. I guarantee our developers hate us, right? Because unfortunately for them, I have a background in design. I used to do 3D animation, and so it was probably my bright idea, and it came to pick and was like, "Hey, we could design this, and we could do it, right?" But the way that we started this out, so if you look at our first development probably a year and a half ago, it looks completely different from how it is now. I guess one of the biggest surprises for me is the community and how they've embraced BuddyJane and the way that we developed the reasons why we got behind BuddyJane are being embraced, right? It's basically, we were politically motivated. I remember reading The Emperor Wears No Clothes back in college and learning about how big corporations and government were conspiring against weed, and it blew my mind, right? And now you fast forward to now, and we're all talking about legalization, but we have these same rapacious corporations and corrupt politicians who are looking at legalizing weed through lenses of their own greed, right? They're not doing it for the culture. They're not doing it for the community. They're not doing it for the sick, for the small businesses, or for the farmers. They're doing it because they smell money. And as a community, right, we need to be aware of this, and we need to pay close attention to the laws that are being passed. And, Pick and I both believe that it's critical that we empower our leaders and give them a platform to be heard so that they can fight for real change. But as I mentioned about the mainstream social media, right, you have this socially awkward person, right? One of the most awkward person I've ever seen running this social empire. And he's using that empire to censor our community. So we really wanted to push back on that and create this space for our community to have a voice, because it's a voice we're going to need to yell out loud to change perception, to change laws. There's connection between cannabis laws and racial injustice. So there's a whole bunch of this political motivation behind why we created the app, and we're seeing it fully embraced. And I wasn't expecting that. So that's been one of the biggest surprises to me.
Yeah, you now have the platform to democratize the cannabis movement into the future, right? We think about Arab Spring, and yes, that
you have the platform.
Yes, that's exactly right. We think about like Arab Spring and Twitter and how that type of movement can change governments and can change things and motivate people. Look at what's happening now with protests and how quickly things can get done from the bottom up.
Right.
But you make a really good point. We have been unable to do this because the people who are in control of the communication have been in control of the communication.
I look at Facebook and IG as like the DuPonts and the lumber unions of days ago, right? Where they were the ones demonizing weed and people that used it. They're doing it differently now through censorship. But change doesn't happen by a single individual. It happens by numbers. And we haven't been given a platform where we could get together and join in numbers. And this gives us that platform. And I think it's going to create some change for us. At least that's our hope. That's what we're excited about.
Now, how are you guys getting the word out about BuddyJane? Because I'm sure you guys are being kind of censored too, or not allowed to advertise that on other social medias because you're dealing with cannabis. I'm sure you guys are restricted. So how are you getting the word out? Just kind of this way, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we've had our share of deleted posts and suspensions and groundedness and whatnot. But so yeah, I mean, we do have a good active social presence on on your Instagrams and Twitter and whatnot. But we have our bigger push is we have some partnerships in place that we think are going to help us hit some bigger numbers right when we officially launch. So we have a partnership with should I mention
Cheech?
With Cheech Marin. He has a brand called Cheech's Private Stash, which his team and him have agreed to to roll with us on our rollout, and we can give him kind of the VIP treatment, showcase his brand because the timing is right with them. So that, and then like Loni said, the whole cryptocurrency component, we're putting together some strategic partnerships to help us hit an abundance once we roll this out.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
We don't have to just rely on social media and whatnot.
And on top of that, I mean, you have everybody who's joined BuddyJane now promoting BuddyJane, the community, right? And we didn't do this to become superstars, right? We're not worried about becoming an overnight success. We would rather build this up with a good foundation, a good core. And that's why, year one, we're not so much focused on revenue, right? We're focused on driving adoption. We've self-funded this project today between us and some friends, and we're just in no rush to grow it overnight. But we do think it will grow with partnerships like Cheech. Another thing that Pick didn't mention about Cheech is he created this animated series. It's a 6 or 8 part series, and he's gonna put that exclusively out on BuddyJane. So doing cool stuff like that. I think people will come.
I mean, just from the beta and the way that's kind of spread like fire already. Yeah, we're already seeing it come to fruition, without even, again, doing any aggressive marketing or any of that. So, and especially right now, for some reason, the timing just keeps going in our favor. Because right now, I don't know if you're aware, but IG is just flagging like crazy. So we're getting people that are posting their flagged messages and saying like, "What's up?" and tagging BuddyJane, being like, "That's why you got to move over to BuddyJane" and stuff. So we're getting a lot of this action already, and we're not even technically asking for, but it's good timing. So I think once we have it, once we roll out for Android, early of 2021, people are already they're ready. You know what I mean?
We'll have to make an account for the podcast, Utah and the Weeds.
Oh, there's no question about it. I mean,
absolutely.
We'll post them out there.
You guys are certified.
And get involed.
Yeah.
Because there's
seriously.
Yeah, I mean, these are our people.
Exactly.
Yes. Right?
Yeah.
These are
That's
our
how we
people.
think about it.
We just need to talk to our people.
It's a family affair.
Yeah, that's one of the bigger that's one of the bigger key points, even right now, even pre-launch, where somebody might say, like, why would I hop on? You only got, how many users you got, that sort of thing. The thing is that it's a concentrated community, all cannabis. There's no
Kardashians.
You gotta try to hit your mark and try to like weave through the saturated space. It's all cannabis folks. So yeah, absolutely, we got to get you set up on it.
Very cool.
Yeah, no question about it. I'm pretty excited about this whole thing. Like the entire cannabis movement. I don't know if I'm neck deep in the cannabis movement because I do this for a living and we do the podcast and we have clinics and utahmarijuana.org and things like that. But man, it seems like everybody is into cannabis.
Yeah.
A lot more than you know.
There's people smoking in the shadows that we don't even know about that are into cannabis.
Exactly.
But they're going to be, I think this is a great opportunity for those people to go on to something that is private to them, but freeing, and they can learn, and I'm sure as this progresses, there's going to be good information and there's going to be better information.
Right.
And people are going to have to filter that on their own. They always have to.
Yep.
there'll be people that try to take advantage of the system and game it and that sort of thing. And, you'll just have to work those kinks out as you go.
Yeah. And that's why I've been enjoying the small community, right, of a few thousand small, but we don't have a bunch of riffraffs on here right now, right? It's really enjoyable. I have some friendships. We're really accessible, right? So I had one of the people that signed up very early on. He goes by Mac Genetics. He's out of New York. And he was like, hey, I love this app. I want to be a part of it. This is very early on. We had just put it on iTunes. He called me today and he was like, hey, can, I think it'd be cool to have this feature and that feature, which is really cool for us because that's the kind of feedback that we need. But I just think it's cool that I have this friendship now with someone through the BuddyJane app. We even had there was a love connection already on BuddyJane. So yeah, it's really cool stuff. Yeah,
it's really cool.
Yeah, like even some partnerships. There's just one like influencer type of it's a young woman who hooked up with this brand. What is it called? Primo Pipes. Yep. They did a little one-off where he sent her some products. She's doing a little video unboxing it and all this.
Oh, very cool.
All through BuddyJane. Really cool, man. So people,
that's really cool.
People are savvy. You know what I mean? They want to break new shit. So we're happy to see that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you think will happen day 1, day 30? What's your projection, you think, for maybe users, you think your first year?
Yeah. We're anticipating probably between this big delta here, but 250,000 to 500,000 year one of people that are downloading the app.
Wow. You're not going to be able to keep, I could see that, right? I mean, there's how many people on the planet, right? Yeah. There's of those, how many people speak English, start narrowing it down.
Mm-hmm.
To potential users over 21. Is that a rule? You got to be 21
or 18 with a medical card.
Got it.
But another thing, again, this is a global app, so we're starting to see things pick up in Europe right now.
Yeah, so technically, you don't have to speak English.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So there you go. You just translate it over. And the other thing is, like, this is an interesting way for people to find. Like if you were out of town or you were going to school, yes. Right? I'm going to school in New York and I really want to find some like-minded people.
Exactly.
How are you going to find those people? Well, you can.
Yeah. How do I find the people that want to smoke? Oh, BuddyJane, easy. Okay.
All right.
Or I was thinking here, Tim, here in Utah, like since we're so, everybody wants to know when the next dispensary is going to open up. I mean, that would be great if they were just kind of on the app.
Yeah.
We can look in there and say, oh, okay, Beehive's open or Wholesome's open, whatever,
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the next wave that I'm anticipating, right? I think getting people interested in the app is going to just grow organically. I think that's just going to happen. I'm waiting for the business community to embrace this, to realize the potential of this. Because they haven't been given the proper tools. So for us, it's almost like we have to re-educate, rethink the way that we've done business all these years. It's like, you mean I don't have to download Weedmaps and pay 10, 15 grand a month to, sit on a digital yellow page? I can actually advertise my business and engage with my current customer base. I mean, I don't have to focus on the fact that the app has 15 million people worldwide. I could just focus on the people that are close enough to drive to me and use this app to do it. So that's what I'm interested in seeing how that comes to life. We're already starting to see, like Oklahoma, right? We have some businesses in Oklahoma.
Is crazy there. Ooh. I've heard
Smokelahoma. It's probably the most active state on the app right now.
No kidding.
I mean, I would say I think they planned for 20,000 medical cards the first year, and they passed 70,000 the first year. So
it's like crazy.
That. It was insane. Like if I heard somebody say to me, I think it was 6 months ago, they said, man, if you had a pound of weed right now in Oklahoma, that's what everybody wants because they were just short product.
Yeah.
It's going to be cool. We're going to develop this thing. So we have this what we call Buddy Finder, where you can see where people are located. We don't give away exact location, but within a certain rate, certain vicinity.
Well, you wouldn't want the feds to get on.
Right. But what we're doing is we're changing the pins so that they light up green every time you open up the app and you're active on the app. So you're going to be able to pull up this map, and what we're hoping we do is we see states, turn their states green with all the people on their app. So you'll be able to see who's active and who's not. And I think that's going to be real fun.
Yeah,
that is cool. Really cool.
It could be a challenge type thing, state challenger,
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of have a privacy question because I think it's the one thing that I've come across in my mind as we've been talking. And that is, what if the feds decide to get on and track me? Can you do anything about this? What do we do?
Yeah, no, first of all, we don't keep any personal information. If you're using like text chat messages, it's all encrypted. It's encrypted at transit, encrypted at rest. So your privacy is secure. We do want people to use common sense, right? We're not encouraging any illegal activity. So we're not anticipating that the feds would have any reason to mess with you.
I bring that up because I think people are concerned with that. Yeah. Like in general, right? Yeah. My patients are fairly concerned. Every list they get put on, they're concerned about it.
Right.
And yet I guess you didn't really explicitly say this, but the fact is, and we interviewed Weldon Angelos on this podcast.
Yeah, Weldon,
there's a guy, and I've, does he?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So we interviewed somebody else in Utah who had been tracked by the feds, and when he got arrested, essentially, they had his phone transcripts and everything. It was done.
Right.
There isn't any way to hide. That's, I think, what you didn't say, but that's the fact, right? If you're doing something illegal, or they think you're doing something illegal and they want to track you, there isn't anywhere to really hide. So, use common sense.
You use common sense. This, BuddyJane isn't a tool for illegal activity. Number one, this is a tool for the community to grow and communicate and network with one another. As far as privacy, though, again, you don't have to put any information. We don't require any information other than an email, so that you can use it to log in. The chat messages are encrypted. You don't have to share your location. You can turn that on or off at will. It's as safe as any other platform.
I am super excited about getting on and trying this thing out, BuddyJane.
I'm going to set up an account right when we get finished up here.
I'm going to be hopping on this. I've got, we're all going to be on it.
Yeah, you're on it. You're out on a good time. We're running out through this last beta where we're making some changes, working out all the bugs, and the community's been great with helping us do that. But first part of next year we'll launch, and one of the things that we want to do is we want to keep developing the app. So when we get money, we're dumping it back into development. We'll put it back into marketing. And we're hoping to get a lot of feedback and interaction with the community so that we develop it for us,
I think that's a really smart business move, in my opinion. I don't think taking money out in the beginning is a good idea at all. Mm-hmm. I think building something that people will use and find useful, that's the business model.
That's it. That's why we decided to self-fund this. We've already had venture firms come looking at us. And at this point, we're not opposed to funding. We just want to do it at the right time. We want to have an opportunity to have more creative control over where this goes. And our creative control, we're talking about as a collective, right? Like the community is going to tell us where this needs to go versus taking some money from some venture firm and then putting them on the board. And now they're dictating the direction, right? Where they're like, you need to go and monetize everything all at once because we need returns. We don't want that stress.
Smart.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are a couple of smart dudes. I'm excited for you.
We'll see.
Everybody can look for utahmarijuana.org and Utah in the Weeds on BuddyJane. Come
look for them. They're going to come on there. Well, they're ready to go right now, Tim. We should get one set up right now. Yeah, set it up right now.
Yeah, let us know. We'll certify you. Be sure your accounts are certified.
Put the sweatshirts up.
Yeah, you bet.
Very cool. Very cool. Anything else you want to make sure that we mention about the app before we get this episode wrapped up today, guys? Or anything else you guys want to talk about?
Just say hop on, man. BuddyJane.com. You got the overview there. There's also a brochure for any businesses that may be interested, that they can check out a brief overview of our business services. Everybody's welcome, 21 and up, 18 and up patients. Just hit BuddyJane.com. You have the link there to download and a good overview of what the app looks like and feels like, what we're about.
It'll be good to get some folks from Utah in here. I don't know much about the politics of cannabis in Utah. Where are you guys at with all that these days?
No, I mean, it's a medical state now. We've been, we're not quite a year in, 20,000 legal medical users in Utah so far. I think maybe a few more thousand, depending on who's counting, I guess. But we're getting there. But the culture here, people are looking for other people. They're looking for education. And so, they're looking for this type of thing, I think.
Yeah, we'd love to get more of the educators on here who are talking about the medical benefits of the plant. So who knows? Maybe
I think that's one thing that hopefully, we'll definitely contribute to that, because I think that is missing. I frankly think that's missing on when you go to social media and you look at cannabis. Yeah. One of the things that is missing is that education, a little bit more science, from legitimate sources, I guess. Yeah. What I would say.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of, and it's okay that there's a lot of this, but because this is a lot of freedom and expression, but there is a lot of people just smoking weed.
Right.
And my patients aren't going to find that,
Right.
They're going to find like-minded people, but they want a little bit more, they want a different experience. And so,
sure,
I would imagine with BuddyJane, you'll be able to direct your own feed, so to speak, right?
Yeah. Events right now, because it's starting out, what it is we've opened it up, and we're just all following each other, right? You have the ability to block someone that's not doing what you want. Pretty soon we're going to flick a switch when we have enough people there, and it's okay. This is my own community. I want to follow this person, and that's how you'll build out your own group. But to kick start it, we're kind of going and jumping into this all together.
Yeah, that makes total sense, though.
Yeah,
that's the fun of it.
Yeah, that is.
So right now, I was just going to say, jump on now. Why we can connect with everybody now before there's too many people on.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. And like I said, it's going to be good. I want to bring the business community in here and the science community, the educators, into the weed experience, right? So that's going to happen as we grow. I don't want people to be afraid of the app thinking it's just stoners. Not all stoners are stoners, right? We don't just smoke all day and eat cereal, right? It happens once in a while because I get the munchies. But we have moms on there who are talking about how they're using CBD for their child. We do have some professionals on there who are talking about how they're using it in their daily life for medicinal purposes. So we'll keep that going, and we're excited to get you guys on there so you can contribute.
Absolutely. How can listeners connect with you, Tim?
No, it's utahmarijuana.org. And when we post this podcast episode, we'll put a link to BuddyJane on the website. And, but yeah, you can always find me on utahmarijuana.org. How about you, Chris?
You can listen to my other podcast, I Am Salt Lake podcast, iamsaltlake.com. Go check it out. And you know what? I actually got a message today, Tim, from somebody that listens to Utah in the Weeds that went over and listened to I Am Salt Lake. So it works, man. Like, I'm getting people over there. That's the whole idea, right? That was my idea, this podcast. I was like, well, maybe I can get more listeners on I Am Salt Lake that aren't, they don't know about that podcast. So, but if you want to come on Utah in the Weeds, reach out to Tim or myself and let us know what you got going on. And we'd love to get you on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the easiest way to do that would be to go to utahmarijuana.org and chat with us online.
Yeah. Please do that. Yeah.
That'd be a great way to connect and get on the podcast.
And we'll have episodes all the way through Christmas and New Year's and stuff. So stay subscribed, stay listening, tell your friends, leave us a review on iTunes, and we'll talk to you next week.
Okay. Stay safe out there, guys.